Got it.
I like it. Well, we have a few more minutes left with Mark Ronchetti. He's a Republican candidate for governor. There's 5 of you running for the nomination or for the nomination in the primary in June. You've been traveling around the state, and when you're down here in our part of the world, what seems to be the top issues that people are asking you got to do something about this, other than what we talked about with the Neils. Right.
Yeah. I think what people talk about here a lot is, I think they want some understanding that, look, the oil and gas industry is what drives the economy of this state. And I think we have the cleanest, most efficient oil and gas industry in the world. And I think that case, I don't think, is made enough. And I think too often we, especially down here, or we as Republicans more broadly, kind of just let the left push a narrative and let them push away and push away and push away. And instead of saying, wait a minute, that's not true, and here's why, you kind of give up that communications fight. And I think that's got to stop. I think we have to be able to stand up and say, wait a second, what certain people are advocating for doesn't work by their own measure. Right? And what do I mean by that? Well, when you start to look at where we are with this, the average car on the road here in the state of New Mexico is 14 years old. We're not going to a battery-powered car next week battery-powered cars across New Mexico. It's lunacy. We have been cutting down on CO2 emissions for 20 years. Why? Oil and gas here, especially natural gas across the country. And we look now at what happened in Russia, right? Russia has us over a barrel because what? They're pushing more oil in here. We were energy independent a year and a half ago. We're not now. We can be thanks to what happens here, but we have to invest in that. And so that to me is one of these battles where I don't think we should be afraid to engage the left and say, wait a minute, the things you're looking to do will hurt this country and will hurt even the very measure that they talk about. They talk about CO2 levels. Okay, we produce more oil and gas at a lower CO2 level than anybody does. We're 30% lower than Russia and Saudi Arabia. So what's the logic again?
Yeah.
To ship that out of here?
But Mark, methane is going to kill us all.
Yeah, I know. We're all going down. But no, what methane's going to do is what this governor has done too often, and what we see him do all the time. These rules are going to kill the small producer, right? The big guys, they don't care. Right. They're going to do whatever they're going to do, and they can adjust to whatever they need to. But it's the small producer here across the Southeast that's getting crushed by this, and especially levels that are not significant. And so that, to me, is where you have a real issue here, where once again in New Mexico, and we do it all the time, the government thinks that they are the arbiter of fairness, right? And in doing that, what they do is they put so much weight on the shoulders of small businesses that they crush them. And then you lose opportunity for everybody that you say you're here to represent. It's garbage. And you look over to Texas, you look over to Arizona, they foster business. They pour lighter fluid on the businesses to let them go, get going, get more opportunity. Here, the government thinks they've got this role and they're going to step in, and all they're doing is crushing opportunity here. And you see it day in and day out. It has to stop.
Well, let me ask you this, because a lot of this is just embedded in the culture of New Mexico. I mean, New Mexico is not Texas. And I think if you ask the average New Mexican, they probably don't want to be
I would agree.
just like Texas. They're proud of being in New Mexico. We're a little bit different. So how do you move a cultural thinking? Because it seems like the environmental aspects of things have been kind of dominating things for a long time, whether it's the spotted owl that killed the timber industry.
And it has killed it, and it has to come back, by the way. That's another one. Right? You got towns like Cuba and across northern New Mexico, Taos and Eagle Nest used to have mills. And now you go up to northern New Mexico, you go to Ruidoso, you go to some of these areas and you say, wait a minute, we've got so much deadfall here. We get one fire, and we saw it with Little Bear. We saw it up across the northern mountains with Cerro Grande and other fires. You have to log out the deadfall. You have to. And we've killed those industries because of environmentalists and the overstep here. So we definitely have to do that. As far as changing kind of the way government is looked at in this state, I think what we have to be able to do here is show people that a massive government that has never been richer isn't serving their interests. And a bunch of elites who run that government not only don't care what you say. They don't want you to have the guts to say it.
Yeah.
And we have to tear it down. And that's why when we talk about a movement, that's why our campaign, I think, is the campaign that can do this, because we have to move people to push on their government. And if you go back, and the best example I can give on this, if you go back to Ronald Reagan running for governor of California, right? So that starts off by he says, oh my gosh, what is, Ronald Reagan, an actor, what did he have? He had a vision for what government should be. Smaller, more responsive to the people, get out of your way, build a strong national defense, and let this country go, right? Personal liberty over governmental control. So he has a good 8 years in California, but then runs for president in 1980. He takes us from a devastating situation left to him by Jimmy Carter, takes the next 8 years, rebuilds the country, and then steps aside. But what happens after that? The Reagan Revolution continues, and we're still benefiting from it today, right? We're still benefiting from that thought process that Reagan brought to the table. That's what we have to do here. It's going to be bigger than any one governor. It's going to be bigger than 8 years. It's got to keep going beyond that. But I think if we start letting people realize, and sometimes it's situations on the ground. You go to get gas, it's $4 a gallon right here at the corner of Main Street. If you go to the grocery store, it's 40% more than it was a year ago. People realize they're getting crushed, and big government spending isn't pulling them out of it. It's stopping them from recovery. That's a lot of what's happened here. So we have to tell people and make the case that, look, you can have one of two courses going forward. You can chart your own course, and you can get on the river in a boat and you can paddle your way through. Or we can put you on the river in a boat with no paddle at all, and you go exactly where the government tells you to go. And how's that working for you? It is not working. Plus, the biggest issues we face going forward here in the next couple of years, and I think for this campaign, are 1, crime, right? Number 2, education, and number 3, jobs. None of those are partisan issues. None of the elites in this state are addressing them at all.
We're people going to have the opportunity to meet with you today? Where are you going to be in public events today?
I don't think I don't think any public events we're doing today. We are going to try to get back down here over the next 3-4 weeks, though, and we'll do more public events coming up, and we'll be, I think here, gosh, I think it's in May and June we'll be here as well. So we're definitely going to do more public stuff coming up. Today is one of those kind of a bunch of just kind of one-off meeting things, and then beyond that, we'll be doing more and more events kind of around the community and getting more people involved and doing town halls, things like that, just to sit down and get big groups of people and just fire questions.
Very good.
Go back and forth and figure out, hey, what are your biggest concerns? Shoot them at us and figure out what our plans are for everything. But we're excited. I mean, there's no question down here. We need your support. We absolutely need it. And if we're going to win, it's going to be getting everybody pulling in the same direction and saying, wait a minute, this has got to stop, and there's a better way forward.
Mark Ronchetti, candidate for governor, Republican side, and you got the website. I think it's markronchetti.com.
It is.
And
yes.
Look forward to having you back, and best of luck in the campaign.
Always a pleasure, Gene. Thanks.
All right. Thank you, Mark. We're going to